My apologies, I'm a bit late. I'm just new to the chair. We still have one more session. I don't know how many members are still outstanding. They are Alan Leung, Fernando Cheung, Kenneth Chan, and Albert Chan. Mr. Leung Kwok-him, did you press the bell? No, you are not here. Now, if you speak, if you want to speak, you need to press the bell or press the button. I asked to have one more session. Now we start at 4:20, or rather, we start at 4:25. We started at 4:25, and it would be able to end at say 20 to 9. But we will not exceed 2 hours starting from now. But you say 25 to 9. I still can add 15 minutes after 25 to 9. Now, if you do not speak more up to 8 or 9 minutes and then ask us to reply, then we can finish earlier. Ms. Alan Leung. Well, I think I'm a bit of an idiot. I really don't understand the point made by the chairman that he has already ruled that he has allowed Mr. IP Kwok-him's proposal to be tabled. I thank the legal advisor for providing the FC paper dated the 2nd of November 2007. I believe you agree that the paper is dealing or was dealing with Ms. Emily Lau's question in relation to CAP 2's motion, and this is entirely different from the motion before us today. The legal advisor also referred us to para 11 of the paper, but the reference there was obviously not a decision after discussion or deliberation. The third line of para 11, the motions substantive motions of the FC, including motions to amend procedure. Probably it was the statement made by the Legal Service Division rather than a resolution made by members. That's my understanding. The legal advisor can explain that. So this paper is not helpful, nor is it relevant. If you base on this statement and then restrict the power of this committee, that's not right. Now, the procedure, FCP, does not have any provision on how to amend the FCP, and then you say that there was a decision in 2007 November. I have much doubt about it. Now the chairman says that he has made a ruling, but what's the basis of ruling? You refer to 37. Para 37 does not say that the chairman has the power to decide on the number of days of advance notice. Now it says that subject to the decisions of the committee made from time to time, rules 29 to 35, the rules of procedure, shall apply with necessary modifications. Why the chairman say it is 5 days with regard to modification? The ROP requires 12 days in advance. I don't understand why the chairman can exercise his discretion to replace the decision of this committee. I give you 1.5 minutes for an explanation. I've explained that many times before. My explanation is the same. The legal advisor. Now, concerning the advice I've given, I've already said everything. I have nothing more to add. Chairman. So I can only say that I am an idiot. Now, you said that many times before, but I don't understand. If you allow me to repeat, I just want the legal advisor to answer me whether my observation is correct. I've made 2 observations. Now, basing on the paper in November 2007, you said that even if this committee had not changed the text of the FCP, there was a clear provision on how to amend the procedure. And I challenge that the paper was not able to provide a legal basis. Concerning the paper provided, FC 10/12-13/01, paragraph 4. It has clearly reflected the advice given by the Secretariat to the chairman with regard to the interpretation of paragraph 37 of the FCP. Now, the paragraph sets the relationship between of the rules between the 3 committees. And then para 9 also states the application of para 37. Pursuant to para 37 of FCP, which it incorporates rules 29 to 35 rules of procedure of necessary modifications, as may be determined by the chairman, but subject to the Finance Committee. Mr. Chairman, I think, apart from repeating these 2 points, I have nothing more to add. And I hope you understand that the legal advisor is just doing his best to give advice, and we have no intention to debate with any member on any point. I understand that. If I am to wait in the line, he may have to explain it for another round. Now, according to the paper tabled in front of us, FC 10/12-13/01, at the start, it says that the FC rule, the FC procedure, has no specific provision to deal with the 3 sets of procedure. And that is the starting point, para 4. And also, para 9, it says that subject to the Finance Committee. It seems that the Finance Committee has another view. Chairman, I don't know whether you will have any supplement concerning the things you said. You had said it many times before. I want to tell the legal advisor that I have no intention. I don't mean you are debating with me. I just want to make my own point. Thank you, Mr. Chen Carlock. I don't know, Mr. Chairman. I don't know whether members who have not spoken should be given a chance to speak first. According to the table, Mr. Fernando Cheung should be in front of me. I attempted to make such an arrangement, but there is a speaking order. Fernando Cheung, Kenneth Chan, Albert Chan. Last time I called Alan Leung, and they said that it should be IP Kwok-him. Now I follow the table, and you ask me whether it should be Fernando Cheung. I have nothing against Fernando Cheung. According to the board, I see that Fernando Cheung has not spoken before, Albert Chan has not spoken before, Leung Kwok-him has not spoken before, so you will be the last. So I allow those who have not spoken before to speak first. That's the usual rule. Since that's the case, I will not follow the board. I will give the floor to Fernando Cheung. Yes, thank you, Chairman. This is my first round. The present issue is very important. We are discussing a procedure to amend the FCP, or Finance Committee Procedure. According to the Constitution, the motions endorsed by us are binding. Many of them are, at least. And this is one of the few bodies in this council that can monitor the administration and exercise our duties. We are talking about the procedure for amending the FC procedure. Right at the start of the resumption meeting of this council, he wants to amend the FCP and restrict members' right to move motions. This restricts the power of the FC. That restricts members' duties to monitor the government. Mr. Chairman, you've made a ruling. The amendment to amend the FCP requires a 5-day notice in advance. Now we say that Mr. Yip's amendment, or rather you ask us to discuss Mr. Yip's amendment next week. We have just started our work. The establishment is going to ram it through, and you have the majority, and you want to thrust it down our throat. You are going to amend the procedure and impose more restriction on everybody. In fact, over the years, the procedure is rather generous. There is no provision on how to amend the procedure. I think that is a kind of mutual respect between the establishment and the pan-democrats. That is to give more room to each other. But now, on the first day of resumption of the meeting, the establishment proposed to restrict this freedom and right. And Chairman, you now propose a 5-day notice. Are you going to impose it on us? Are you going to force it down our throat? What urgency does Mr. Yip's amendment have? I also want to ask the Chairman and also the legal advisor, Jimmy. Now the Chairman ruled that Mr. Yip can move an amendment with 5-day notice. Will that immediately become part of the procedure? Your decision affects the change of the procedure.
Does your ruling mean that automatically it will become a part of our FCP? Or any amendment to the FCP should be discussed here before it is endorsed? Or can the Chairman's ruling automatically become part of the FCP? I'd like the legal advisor to comment on it. But after all, if the pro-establishment camp just wants to ram us through and spare the discussion and proceed straight to voting, well, Dr. Zhang, I don't mean to interrupt you, but you've spent about 4 minutes or so. Legal advisor, Jimmy. Legal advisor. Chairman. This ruling will not become part of the FCP, but it can serve as a precedent. If this is the case, why is it that the chairman today is saying that for similar amendments, a 5 clear days requirement is necessary? Well, I just want to clarify the situation. I asked today whether members agree to the 5+2 arrangements so that things can be clear. That means we have not decided on whether it must be 5 days. I hope that we can reach a decision today. I proposed this amendment. 2 days notice is required for an amendment to the motion and 5 days for the motion itself. If members agree, then if members don't agree, then so be it. So this is point of order. Chairman, you are proposing the addition of a 5 clear days requirement in the FCP. Well, I haven't yet moved a motion. This is just something for your discussion. If you agree, then we can proceed. If the discussion is mature, then we can proceed to the vote. If the discussion is not mature, as some members said, they need to think about it. Well, this is just an issue for members' discussion. If the discussion is ripe, then let's see how it should be addressed. Mr. Albert Chan. I've heard carefully members' speeches. Mr. Kwok-him's political mission is very clear. And it's up to the chairman to exercise your political wisdom in accommodating this political mission. Of course, you can be brutal. You can totally stamp out any filibustering exercise to satisfy the Communist Party. But whether legally speaking this is appropriate, I believe that over the past 2 hours, a lot of problems have been revealed. There are doubts concerning the procedure. It's giving people an impression that it's being forced through. About the 5+2 arrangements, you have explained it many times, Mr. Chairman. Of course, you can exercise your discretion and have your own interpretation of the FCP. This is your decision and your interpretation. Now, about the 5+2 arrangement, I hope that legal advisor can write up a paper containing the advice on the chairman's justification of the 5+2 proposal and the legal advice. Concerning the amendment and the relationship between para 10, 11, and 37A, I hope that in a moment legal advisor can clarify this for us. In the past, some motions can be moved without notice. So after the 5+2 proposed by Mr. Chairman, what is the legal effect of a motion moved without notice on this 37A? I would like to have clear explanation as to its legislative effect. Now, Mr. Chairman, about the 5+2 proposal, if we're going to have a motion, then we can, of course, move any amendment to any motion. Let's say if it's 5+2, we can propose amendment, say, from, say, several hours, certain hours plus certain hours. So if this motion is put forward, then the people power will move amendments. And it can be done without notice because you just proposed this 5+2 now, and we're going to move amendments hour by hour. So this is for Chairman's reference. And Mr. Ip Kwok-him, you resort to such brutal means to cut the filibustering short. In fact, President of the Council has commissioned Pauline Ng, the former Secretary General, to prepare a report. And if there are problems with filibustering, then of course in the report there will be analysis and recommendations on the filibustering exercise and the way of handling filibustering by the President. Of course, if Mr. Ip Kwok-him has to take action on this political mission and stop filibustering, well, he may go ahead, but then it's not just about filibustering. This is in fact a castration of the Council's power. In other legislatures, where there is a two-thirds majority, the filibustering can be stopped. This is the way to stop the filibustering, not by moving a motion to stop members from moving amendments. It's just like destroying the whole forest because of a tree. So if you are declaring a war, we will of course fight with you. So in the coming council meetings, whenever a quorum is not present, we will be asking for a counting of heads. If you take matters so irrationally, this is definitely not the way to resolve the issue. Mr. Albert Chan, your time is up. Legal advisor, just briefly, can you give us a written explanation? Legal advisor. Chairman. It would be difficult for us to, for me to give legal advice on general matters. If members could point out the specific issues, then I'll be happy to give you legal advice. My question is a bit specific on Chairman's interpretation of the 5+2 proposal and his ruling on Mr. Ip Kwok-him's motion. Now, Chairman, may I clarify, first of all, about 5+2. Today, we have a paper reflecting the deliberation of the Chairman and Deputy Chairman of committees for Chairman's consideration. Well, this is the advice, but there is no legal basis. The legal basis is that according to 71(13) of the Rules of Procedure, the Finance Committee has the right to formulate its own procedures and practices. As for the conduct of meeting by the Chairman, it doesn't involve any legal issues. Next, Mr. Leung Kwok-hong. Well, fortunately, Mr. Ip Kwok-him is just a councillor, not a doctor, because he's going to hack the toe off if the toe has any problem. Now, I know that you want to stop filibustering. So, Mr. Jasper Zhang relied on a rule in the Rules of Procedure to stop the filibustering, and that's the story of make a move after they return. Here, there are no rules governing any amendments to motions. Only someone idiotic or wicked can come up with that, because if you think it's justified, you can just raise it. You can give power to the Chairman to stop the filibuster. Mr. Chester Zhang also thinks that he has to refer to the practices of other legislatures, and he's commissioned Ms. Pauline Ng to prepare a report. In fact, he's smarter. If the President finds it necessary, he can draw reference from the other legislatures, and he cut the filibustering short on the last occasion. Well, if you're really being reasonable, why have you all of a sudden proposed this? You can say that in accordance with the Finance Committee procedure or the rules of procedure of the Council, we can do this and that, but you can spare the talk. Even the President of the Council is still looking into this issue. And you're just nobody. You can't compare with Mr. Jesper Zhang, whether as a DAB member or a Communist Party member. And you try to gain points. And you also ask the legal advisor to get involved to explain it on your behalf. In fact, if you really try to force your way through and have it endorsed, then there will be dire consequences. Do you know about the story of Qin Kui? Because in the end, the statue of him on the knee was placed in Hangzhou for people to pass water on. So, of course, the legal advisor would say that there is a legal basis, but what is meant by rule of law is that there should be due process and legal justice. There should be a procedure which is transparent, and it should be followed. So I'm saying, Chairman, I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about Mr. IP Kwok-him. He has done neither. There is no retrospective effect for IP Kwok-him's motion. So what you propose today should be subject to, should also allow us to make amendments. You can't blame us for having all the worries. We have to ask these questions. So I think this is the spirit. If Legislative is a place where justice is upheld, then you need to have due process. You need to have justice. The whole procedure should be transparent. So, frankly, if I'm asked to move amendments, then there could be hundreds and thousands of amendments stemming from the 5+2. So are you going to play with me? Well, of course, you are brave enough to do that. You're from the Communist Party. Mr. Leung Kwok-him, your time is up. Mr. Leung Kwok-him, your time is up. Next, Ms. Sit Ho. Chairman, this is my first round. Now, when we talk about changing the procedure, such procedure should be a set of clear written rules, and it should be understood by everyone. But before we do that, we must be clear about things. Should we follow the requirement for the administration, or should we have our own requirement? I understand that in the past there was never any request to change the FCP, and I understand that the FCP, the Finance Committee, has the power to amend the procedure. However, any change to the procedure should be thoroughly debated on and discussed, and it should be done at the meeting, which is a public meeting, when the media can monitor the discussion. People of Hong Kong should know what we're doing, and if there are different views, they should be expressed at these meetings. Chairman, when we saw Mr. IP Kwok-him's proposal, we didn't ask you in person. What we did was to have the discussion here at the meeting. And yet you have made your own ruling. I think that is futile for us to persuade you to change your mind. Of course, Chairman, you have this authority. Last time you received over 40 votes. You were given the power. However, if an amendment is to be made to the procedure, apart from stipulating the date and notice requirements and so on, there should also be a procedure for amending the procedure for us to see. So, as you are still not sure whether any amendments to IP Kwok-him's motion should be given 2 days or 3 days or 4 days notice, you shouldn't rush things through. Chairman, I don't want to challenge your decisions, but it's really important. It has to do with members' right, and it is also our responsibility. So I think that we should have a clear set of rules on whether the amendment should be moved with 5 or 12 days notice, or whether it can be done in just Chinese, or whether English version should also be provided, and also when an amendment should be submitted, we should have the whole set of things ready before we arbitrarily decide on 5 days, or the language, whether it's Chinese or Chinese and English, and 5+2 or 5+1. Chairman, even when we want to amend the law, we would not accept the administration if they do things like that. Well, Mr. IP Kwok-him said last time he was not happy with filibustering. That's why he wants to stop filibustering.
I
think we do need time to be clear about the whole thing. Not only do we need to have a discussion here which would allow the general public to air their views, and this is presented to us today, and members of the public didn't have time to air their views, even with a 5-day notice. But you have let this be presented. What about the views of the general public? I think whether we come here through functional constituencies or through direct election, we have to be accountable to the whole of Hong Kong. We should not stay here and vote on this behind the doors. Otherwise, this is a real brutality in the council. There is some misunderstanding. The 5+2 days is something that I presented to members for discussion. You talked about English and Chinese. Certainly, we can have either version or both versions presented to members. There is a provision that says we can do so, Ms. Ho. But the Article A, or a specific number 1, there is such a world of difference. Ms. Ho, you are questioning whether it should be Chinese, English, or both. I'm telling you that it can be either Chinese or English or both. Ms. Ho, I'm telling you that in absence of an English version, it would give rise to huge problems.
but we cannot. We allow members to present their proposals in only Chinese. So when we are called upon to vote, should it be 1 or A? Well, you can talk about this when we are voting on this. Do we take it the way we want it? All right, next, Dr. Kenneth Chen. Chairman, thank you very much for the opportunity. I am following up on the views expressed by Ms. Sit Ho when I first spoke. You probably remember, and the legal advisor all probably remembers that we are talking about Rule 34 of the Rules of Procedure. It is very clear, and let me read that out to you. All papers should be in Chinese and English. All committee papers should be in both Chinese and English. Now, this is an important subject, and there is also an important political significance, as alluded to by the mover of the motion, Mr. IP Kwok-him. His intention is to hold filibustering. In absence of Chinese and English version, I mean, as a member, I do have the reasonable expectation for everything to be sufficiently clear. Otherwise, I'll be casting my vote irresponsibly. The mover of the motion should have regard to this responsibility. During the break, I ventured to do the translation with the Google translation, which is commonly used. But I was pushed for time, and I'm glad that the chairman allowed me to present this to members. I hope that Mr. Ip will have a look at this English version. I mean, this is the way many of the electioneering team would translate the materials into English. 37 reads,
an agenda item. Members of the question of the agenda item put before the move a motion without notice. An expression of one or more views on the agenda items, provided that each member is only for the an agenda item to move a motion, and the motion was chairman of that is directly related to the agenda item, and the consent of the majority of the members should be dealt with immediately. Any motion or proposed amendment shall be submitted in writing. A member may speak, if any, in respect of the motion and the amendment to the motion in the joint debate. 呢個就係嗰個嘅翻譯，唔好意思，即係。
Well, this is the English translation. I couldn't help chuckling when I read out the English version. Now, the thing is, in absence of both Chinese and English version, it would give rise to an interesting situation. In particular, what was mentioned by Ms. Sit Ho, one motion or a motion. Now, if we use Google translation, it is a motion. So I hope that Mr. IP Kwok-him would consider and see whether he would confirm the validity of this English version for consideration. Thank you. Next speaker is Mr. IP Kwok-him. Chairman, thank you. I wouldn't respond to Dr. Kenneth Chen. Beg your pardon, it should be Miss Claudia Mo. She hasn't quite spoken yet. Beg your pardon. Chairman, I read the English version read out by Dr. Kenneth Chen. I mean, I was really taken aback. It is really absolutely ridiculous. Our rule says that it has to be bilingual. Hong Kong is a place where we have bilingualism. Our discussion, our papers have to be in both versions. And it was said a moment ago that it doesn't matter. We can have the Chinese version first or English version first. I mean, this kind of translation is complete rubbish. It's total crap. It is absolutely crap. I am a new member in this council, and I do have doubts about this procedure. Well, I beg your pardon, total crap, that means rubbish. If you Google translate it, it can be turned into a crab. So we have to be careful with our translation. As I said, I'm a new member here. I've always had doubts. I knew that when I got elected, the first thing that people play games would be for the pro-establishment members to hold filibustering. I thought innocently that we would talk about this gradually. If you take the U.S., for example, they have a very high threshold. They need 2/3 majority decision to hold filibustering. I thought that there would be a long and gradual discussion. Never did I think that there would be such a weird motion presented. I was doing some teaching just this afternoon. I thought that this would have been over when I came back. I mean, this is very high-handed. You are trying to ram this through. You never cared how people feel about this council. You've won the seat. You never won the votes. With the majority, you try to do whatever you want. You're riding roughshod over us. IP Kwok-him, you are playing this game, and you're playing this council game here. I mean, I may be a new member. I find this wholly ridiculous. You don't even allow any discussion. People don't have an idea what is going on. As long as you have the number, you don't even present us with the English version. 5 days. Is it a game that you're playing? Even secondary school student council, they have a culture which is more serious, more solemn than what we are dealing with. You have to allow a say for people. You must have read some newspapers. There are commentaries that suggest that you are playing the game in a forcible manner. I mean, you are riding roughshod over us because you have the majority. The English that you use is rather strange. I've seen some business cards that said that this is the People's Republic of Hong Kong. I mean, I was really absolutely astounded. I mean, who's trying to create a Hong Kong independence? Now, some said that so many members are repeating themselves. They're repetitive, and they're working overtime, and they're having a hard life. And you are playing with us. You are filibustering. And you said that you are holding filibustering, and we are trying to filibuster. We can take it very, very long. And I don't think you are caring about public opinions. Yesterday, we talked about the standard working hours, maximum working hours. We've been debating this for more than a decade. 2002, the subject was brought up by Lau Jin-shek. Right now, you're moving this motion, you're presenting the motion this way. As long as you have the majority, you don't care about the legal advice. And the legal advice might be inane, might be hollow. What are you talking about? We have the barristers, 2 barristers here, senior counsel. Now, this kind of council culture is forcing people to take to the street, the pro-democracy camps, and you forced them onto the street. We have BBC outside, we have thousands of people rallying, and you're uttering all this nonsense. We have the voices of the people outside. Why is it that the council culture has to degenerate to such a level? Chairman, I'm not used to spouting nonsense. I show the journalism students to be precise and concise. I repeat myself because I simply cannot put up with all this. Ms. Kwok-him, your time is up. All right, we have 2 members for the third round. Let's restrict them to 3 minutes. Mr. IP Kwok-him. Ms. Kwok-him was spouting nonsense. You are a new member, that much. No. But the English version wasn't my translation. My English is no good. I mean, everyone knows about it, so I wouldn't speak in English. But you don't have to make life difficult for me. Now, the English version was provided by your fellow member, Dr. Kenneth Chen. Since 1995 to now, I've always submitted my paper in Chinese. And this is my right. I do have the right to do so. And the Secretariat would provide the service in terms of English. So how do we move the motion? It is very clearly spelled out in the rules of procedure. I don't blame you for being a new member, but you have to read the ROP before attacking people. I mean, you were spouting nonsense. I don't really go on about this. Today, it is very clear that we have to discuss all this because it was suggested that we should present this proposal. That some members said that we have decided on the 5 days and 2 days. What decision is this? We have Mr. Kenneth Leung, Emily Lau. They were there in the meeting, and I thought that there was a bit of a consensus, but this doesn't seem to be the case. And we're opening up another subject, and this I have already moved the motion, and the chairman has already approved this to be presented. If we don't have a consensus, I think we have to discuss my proposal. Now, if you want a consensus, I heard that some members said that this 5 days requirement, they can submit an amendment by the 4-hour 58th minute or 3-hour or whatever minutes. Now, what I'm trying to stop is all this. And you talk about a due process. You said that you attach importance to the due process. I don't think you are respecting the rules of procedure. I think we should have a good discussion before we present the details. Mr. Kenneth Leung for the second round. I'd like to clarify what happened at the meeting. I did bring this up with the legal advisor and other members who were present. If you feel that the chairman should not exercise the discretion, then everything has to be submitted to this Finance Committee for discussion as a whole, including the procedure for amending the FCP. Instead of just 5 plus 2 days. Now, this is the consensus. We've asked the Secretariat to put together the minutes. It is not a formal proposal, and that's my interpretation of what happened. We're not trying to make it as simple as requiring the 5 plus 2 days. If we feel that there is an absence of consensus and the chairman should not exercise the discretion, then this set of procedures will have to be discussed all over again. Point of order? I didn't quite hear you. I'm not with you. Mr. Leung keeps talking about you exercising discretion about my motion, and he said that you exercise the discretion to allow my motion. Did you exercise your discretion? Did I flout the procedure under the rules of procedure? Well, it's not a point of order. Let Mr. Leung just finish. Mr. Leung, I am talking about what happened during the meeting. It was said Section 37 was mentioned. The legal advisor agreed. It was abundantly clear. Many people heard what was said. Now, in terms of the procedural matters, it would be safer. It would be the safest and the most proper way to bring this up for discussion at this full Finance Committee meeting. But let me say something here. I think that the consensus was very clear during the meeting. If not, then you can give me a shout. Now, the consensus was that in terms of Mr. IP Kwok-him's proposal, there shouldn't be any amendment without notice, and that much is clear. And it was the Vice Chair who made this point. Now, today, things are very straightforward. I think you have complicated the matter. Should the amendments be done in writing? What sort of requirements or provisions should be put in place for the meeting? We said that if we specify 5 days for amendments to be made, then it would be in line with what we have been doing. Now, for 5 days, for 5 days is the time requirement for the motion to be submitted, and 2 days that would be for amendments, and that was the consensus. If I may supplement, Chairman, please do. If we feel that we didn't have procedures to deal with the original motion, how come we have a procedure to deal with the amendments to the motion? We spent an hour and 30-odd minutes on that particular day because we have been going round and round in circle. We didn't have any consensus as to how we should go about doing it. All along, I felt that the safest way is for the whole thing to be presented to the full FC for discussion, like the procedures involved in amending the FCP. I think it should best be discussed at this FC meeting. This is the fundamental way of dealing with it. Well, that's why we're here discussing the 5+2. Whether you agree or not, whether you like to move an amendment is up to you. Mr. Leung. If you simplify the matter to 5+2, why not 3+7, 8+9, or whatever? Now, the question is whether we are doing it in accordance with the FCP.
Next, Mr. Ronnie Tong, your third round, so 3 minutes only. Chairman, there are many points of contention. 5+3 or 6+4 or 12+7. The second point is whether we should set the procedure before we deal with Mr. Ip's motion. The third is assuming that we are not going to discuss anything. If I want to move an amendment, then will I be able to have it discussed on Friday next week? I have an amendment here. It doesn't mean that I agree with the first or second point. I still insist that the two things have to be resolved, and I insist on 12 clear days and 7 clear days, and because it's about procedure. Now, since this is the bully by the majority, and then I will move my amendment now, and I hope you will exercise your discretion. Yes, some staff members will come along and help you. Now, there are 3 amendments involving 3 sets of rules procedures, and they are in both versions. The English version is now being typed, and if Ms. Mo is the view that there is a lot of crap, I'd like to apologize. I apologize for that, and please point out the crap, and then we will amend it. I believe that will be better than the version read out by the so-called English translation by Mr. Chen. And I hope that you will deal with it, and you may copy it to members, or you may go back and think about it behind closed doors. Please adopt an attitude that is in line with procedural justice to deal with my amendment. Next is Mr. Lee Chao-yan. Your third round, 3 minutes, please. Well, let us discuss how we're going to deal with the issue before us this evening. You want us to deal with the proposal 5+3, and I heard that some members may have amendments or many amendments, and I don't know whether I don't know how many amendments will be made to this 5+2 proposal. Now you make a proposal of 5+2, and then another member make a proposal in favor of 6+1. We have yet to see all the amendments. But I want to add that I don't agree with you. You exercise your discretion and allow Ip Kwok-him to table his motion. I insist that we should have the procedure right before we allow people to table any amendment. I just want to know how are you going to deal with this meeting? If you are going to put it to the vote, then my question is somebody moves an amendment, and if we have no procedure to amend the 5+2 proposal, then it will not be right. Well, if nobody wants to ask any question, then I will tell you how I'm going to deal with it. Well, you tell us first, because people would like to listen to you before they make their comments. I've heard that some members want to cast their votes tonight. I've also heard that some members saying that if no amendment is allowed, it will not be appropriate. I have decided that we will vote on 5+2, and I also give you time to make amendments. Now, we can't have our meeting earlier than the 26th. And the administration will also have proposals, and we have to deal with the administration's proposals. I hope that with one more meeting, my proposal can be dealt with. If you have any amendments, and if they are supported by members, then that one will go ahead. And if no one supports any proposal, then we'll follow the current practice. And then I will allow Mr. Ip's motion to be tabled. So you're not going to put your proposal to vote. But if somebody wants to move your amendment on 5+2, then how many days of notice will they have to give? Now, if you are not going to discuss it on the 26th, well, I'm not saying that we don't discuss it on the 26th. If I really can't spell it out. It's a mouthful. Well, it's about OH allowance. If we still have some time left after discussing OH allowance, if we amend 5+2, it will be on Wednesday. 2 full days. And that will mean Monday, 12 midnight on Monday. I don't have any problem with that if it is Wednesday. Next time, we will look at all the amendments, and then we'll discuss the amendments, and then we'll vote on that. If we can't deal with it in one day, then I will not deal with my amendment, I will go straight ahead to deal with Mr. Yip's amendment. I can't hear you. Do you have a motion, Mr. Chairman, and then we can amend your motion? Can you give us a written motion? You need 5 clear days, but you don't have enough. You don't have 5 days. So before 25th, the Secretary. Now we can help to draft the text of the motion, and members can discuss that. It is about the procedure of dealing with the motion. Members are willing. I don't know whether members are willing to refer to the procedure of the LegCo meeting or according to the FCP. Mr. Sin Chung Kai, who has not spoken, will be given floor first. Sorry, I'm interested to know the following. Wouldn't it be reasonable to say that it is 2 days within 5 days instead of 5 plus 2? Within 5 days, you need to give 2 days in advance. After receiving the text, we should be allowed 2 working days at least. After we receive your text, we should be given 5 days to be reasonable, but if it's not reasonable, at least 3 days, so that we can work on the amendment. I think that's basic requirement. Chairman, shouldn't you give us a chance to submit our amendment? It can be many forms. It can be 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, or how many hours? I don't know how much time you give us for making amendments. Leung Kwok-him. The problem is not resolved as far as dealing with Mr. Yip's motion is concerned. The amendment of this important provision shouldn't be proceeded with haste, but and there is no reason to move such an amendment. But I want you to enlighten us. If you are not able to provide the text to us, then how can we deal with your proposal? Are you going to issue us the text of the motion immediately? Now, if you don't provide the text, then we can't amend it. And after you've provided the text, then we need to consider the text of your motion. Now you've invented a rule of 5 plus 2 days. Somebody may amend the 5 plus 2. It's just like a cat chasing its tail. You just don't give us the text, and how can we amend your motion? You just try to ram it through. Now you say we're playing tricks, but we are not. And filibustering will only be resorted to when it is necessary. It's just like taking medicine to deal with a heart attack. You can't have the medicine all the time. You want us to repeat filibustering to deal with this draconian proposal? Yes, you will. You are doing it. Now, please talk to the chair. Please talk to the chair. Please don't quarrel among yourselves. Now, if Kwok-him can move that the sun rises in the west, and you have enough votes, and I can move a motion that you are not a human being. Well, Mr. Leung, you're digressing. I think that's violence. This is a very important right. Mr. James Toh, is it the point of order? You ask Mr. Leung Kwok-him to speak on the question. He's speaking on the question. He is commenting the proposal of a member, and he says that the proposal is absurd. Well, it is not a point of order. Now, was your statement a ruling? I asked him not to digress. He's speaking on another motion. He just wants to point out the absurdity of the motion. I don't think that's a point of order. Now, you should give some time back to me. Now, you can move a motion that Tommy Chung is a woman. Now you pass a motion. You can pass such a motion because you have the majority. That's the absurdity. And we are going to resist this absurdity with absurdity. Now we do filibustering because you remove people's right to participate in re-election. We use filibustering to halt the implementation of the 5 the directors and the amendment to the government secretariat.
I understand what the Honourable Ip Kwok-him said about the basic rules and procedures regulating our business. And I do understand that one can choose to table a motion either in English or in Chinese. However, the Secretariat or perhaps the person responsible for the motion should also try to help members by tabling the motion in both English and Chinese accordingly, so that members will have a fair understanding of what is being put in front of us. So now I would like to ask the Secretariat, if possible, to provide all documents in both Chinese and English for the coming meetings. Failing that, I'm afraid I'm going to raise similar questions about languages, about what is being asked from each one of us or from the Secretariat according to the practices and rules of this committee. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Chairman.
Does any member wish to speak? Mr. James Hill. This is my first time speaking today. I feel uneasy. I know that the establishment or the pro-establishment in the previous term were very dissatisfied because some of the motions suffered filibustering, and they suffered a lot, and they thought that such suffering was undue. Now, for those who do filibustering, say that they will only use it under an extreme situation. Among the pan-democrats, there are members who thought whether the use of filibustering was appropriate. If we are to deal with this and we jump into the proposal made by Mr. Yip, and that is a member can only move one motion, that is going too far. And if you do it that way, then as one of the members, I will be the first one to resist this, and we should use all the time in the FC to do filibustering. You are using a very extreme method to do away with the problem. Should you go to the extreme, I don't know whether I can convince Ms. Ip. But I still hope that there are members of other parties who are willing to listen to what I say. Some members say that in overseas countries, they do have an arrangement to stop filibustering. It's not about in the Finance Committee, but during the plenary meetings, they have various approaches which are reasonable. But if you jump to this extreme at the start, I don't know whether it is purely the view of Ip Kwok-him or the DAB, or the pro-establishment has already got a consensus and it has to be ramped through. At what level? Is it a decision at the CY Leung's level, or is it decided, or has it been decided by the by Western District, or was it the Communist Party in Hong Kong, or is it the decision of the Central People's Government, or is it just something to stimulate our thinking, or you really want to do it this way? Or has the pro-establishment and also those behind the scene, those think tanks behind the scene, the power that is behind you, are of the view that this is the step that should be done and it should be ramped through? I hope members think over that carefully. If you want to go to the extreme, well, I may be criticized for being too mild. I may be outdated. But having seen this motion, I'm really disappointed. If you want to go to such an extreme, then I have no room to compromise. I will make use of the time of the FC in these 4 years to deal with your proposal. And do you want that? I'm not a radical. But if you're going to do it this way, then I have no answer. No answer. I'm not in the rank of the people's power. What they did last year was something I had qualms about it. But you've gone to such an extreme and there's no room to compromise. There will be even more extreme reactions. Mr. Tam Yu-chung.
Well, I'd like to tell Mr. James To very clearly why we are proposing this amendment. We're backed by public opinion. During the last term, be it the council meeting or the FC meetings, we saw filibustering going on and on. We suffered, but we were not the only one. People of Hong Kong asked what was happening to our council. Why did the council meetings drag on, go on and on? Why was public money wasted? We have the public's mandate before proposing such amendments. We're not directed by anyone to do it. You said you might be outdated. You said you were not a radical. But in fact, what you said just now is radical. Please go back and think about it. And I don't think Sir Ip Kwok-him's proposal is extreme. Reference has been made to the existing procedure. There must be a way to resolve irrational filibustering. If we can all guarantee that such irrational filibustering exercise will not happen again, then we can go back and give it a second thought. But can we all give this promise? Can we all make this promise? Well, if you say that you're going to put up filibustering for the coming 4 years, how can we be reassured? How can we explain to the public? So we all have to think carefully about it. Why? All along, we have not resorted to this method. Why has the procedure been so lax? And why is it now we need to change it? And we are backed by public opinion. So please think thoroughly. Our proposal is not extreme, is reasonable. We are proposing that a member can move one motion, and they're not barred from airing their views. We still have 2 or 3 members. Dr. Kwok-him, second round, and Mr. James Toll, the second round, and Leung Kwok-him, the third round. Dr. Kwok, Chairman, originally I didn't want to speak, but having heard Mr. Tam Yu-chung's words, I find it really outrageous. You said you have public's mandate to halt filibustering. Have you thought carefully what you've just said? In fact, there is ample public opinion asking the LegCo to perform its duty. You know that under the existing reality, there is no way we can strive for anything because of the split voting. You support a functional constituency, and here you dare to say that you have public's mandate. Aren't you ashamed? In fact, Mr. James Toll just gave a wholehearted speech. He asked whether there is room for maneuvering, but in fact, it's a waste of breath. If even the Finance Committee is deprived of the right to, or the right or the power to resist such brutality, is really unreasonable. Even Mr. C.Y. Leung said that the reorganization proposal had not, in fact, been mature enough, and that it was not backed by public's mandate. It was not well thought through, and the pro-establishment camp, without giving it another thought, supported the reorganization proposal. More room should be given for discussion. This is the only thing we can do. This is already a distorted council. The FC is the representatives of how many people? Let's think about it. And you're trying to rationalize it. You say that you have public's mandate. I think that we have lost all senses of right and wrong. Well, we're not proposing any filibustering, but if Mr. Ip Kwok-him decides to go ahead, we have no alternative but to continue to resist through legal and legitimate means. Mr. James Ho, second round. Well, Chairman, it's a leap from a motion without notice, and it's infinite number of motions, to just one motion. Let's imagine this. If it's foreseeable or is predictable that things will come to an end, you don't need to write. You don't need to use the word one or a. Let's say if you allow 10 motions per member, then at most you have And let's imagine not all members will propose amendments. So at most you may have, say, 34 or so. But say a member may represent his or her sector. And in approving a funding proposal, his or her sector may be affected. And the member may wish to move more than one motion so that the member can be accountable to his or her sector. This is necessary for each member. We don't know when a member may need to resort to such means. Not all parties have that many seats as the AB does. Some may have just 1 or 2 members. So, is it really necessary to change it from to infinite number to 1? Because if we can only vote on one motion, then the remaining 69 members may not be able to vote on the many views contained in that motion. So it's really extreme to change it from unlimited to one motion. So I invite the pro-establishment members to think whether such extremity is necessary. Mr. Yip Kin Yuen. As a new member, I originally didn't want to speak on this topic about the procedure because I have limited experience. But having heard the discussion, I'd also like to say something. I'd like to follow up on Mr. James To's wholehearted speech. When I read this letter, I thought that more information should be made available to make it more persuasive, because we're talking about the restriction on a member's constitutional power. We need to do it very carefully. We need to think, first of all, about the principle of our Constitution. Is it our principle that both members in the majority and the minority can have an equal role to play, instead of one side overpowering the other? Do we have proper checks and balances? Now, Mr. Yip Kwok-him from DAP has proposed this issue, but has it been backed by any basis? Has he made reference to any other legislatures? During the last term, when I watched the filibustering, I also agreed that filibustering should not be done indiscriminately. But on the other hand, I also think that we should not just come down to any arbitrary figure like one motion. Are there any other ways for members to consider? Are there any options for members to consider so that this option or this proposal can really sustain? In a council consisting of the majority and the minority, can we allow room for all to debate issues in the council? We need to have different options. We need to consider the pros and cons of different options before we come to any conclusion. This is a more prudent attitude for all members to continue to work in this council. Otherwise, I'm sorry to say it, I would say that it's a really casual attitude, and if it's passed, there will be more controversies and more disputes will be sparked, and this will be endless. So we have to be rational about it. Mr. Yip Kin-yun, perhaps you are late because we're not actually discussing Mr. Yip Kwok-him's motion. But all along, actually, I was here. Well, but I have been adopting a rather lax attitude. But anyway, we're not talking about Mr. Yip Kwok-him's motion. Members, well, just now I said the meeting would go on till 8:50, and then it's now 8:15, and we still have issues to talk about, and we have other members who wish to speak. Mr. Wu Chi-wai for the first round, and also Mr. Leung Kwok-hong and Ronnie Tong. I cannot extend this meeting any further. We are, all of us are exhausted. From the House Committee meeting, we have been sitting here for 6 hours, so let's not repeat. We also have Mr. Chen Chi-chun for the first time, speaking for the first time. So must we all repeat what other members have said? Well, we're not going to vote on anything today, but we are short of time. Mr. Hu Chi-wai, but originally I didn't want to speak, but having heard the views expressed by members, I have this feeling that it resembles the moral national education incident. At first, it didn't attract much attention. When pro-establishment member tries to restrict a member's right in debating on a motion in this council, it will give us a very bad impression. It's really unfortunate. Of course, Chairman, you will deal with the procedural matters, and it will not put to a vote today. But as a new member of this council, I don't want to see any bloodshed. We all want issues to be resolved effectively in this council. And apart from the voting system, under which the majority rules, we also have to consider public opinion and public mandate. So when we discuss this issue again in future, I hope pro-establishment members will think about it. We don't want to see chaos in the council, and I hope that our discussions can be more meaningful. Mr. Chen Chi-chun. Well, originally I didn't want to speak. I waited till now. I thought that a war would be waged, but not yet. We have prepared over 1,000 amendments to Mr. Yip Kwok-him's motion. Towards the end, just now I heard Mr. James To's speech. Well, I shed tears easily. I actually welled up just now. In the September election, a lot of voters against the reform proposal voted for Mr. James To. I got elected. Well, in fact, Mr. Raymond Wong was in hospital last night, and the night before, and Mr. Albert Chan was just by himself, without any help. I see many pro-democrats here. It's the pro-establishment members are really stepping way out of line. We understand gradually why we need to resort to filibustering in the council. We're sacrificing our time, our effort, and our health in so-called playing tricks with them. We expected you to use such means. There has to be discussion in the society before proposals are put forward, so on and so forth. But if we're to wage a war, it won't just happen in FC meeting. We can ask for counting of quorum at every meeting. And if you really want to declare a battle, we can fight with you. So today I want to ask the Chairman. I'm here to wage a war. You talk about 5+2. Do you have any paper for it? Can you give us a? Can you tell us the notice requirement? Please tell us clearly so that we can get prepared. Next, I still have 3 members here. Can I draw a line here? Does any other member wish to speak? Dr. Chiang, speaking for the first time. Dr. Chiang. Dr. Chiang, your turn. Right, Mr. Leung Kwok-him, when you spoke, I didn't interrupt. And Chairman, today, I didn't want to speak at first, but I really believe that I have witnessed drama here. This afternoon, I arrived here on time at 2 p.m. I sat here throughout. How many hours of meetings have we had? I listened carefully. I read the papers carefully. However, I really don't know how to put it. Okay, I saw members like Dr. Kwok-him. He said that if the amendment is approved, then there will be an impact on the role of monitoring the use of public finance, and the right will be deprived of. What right will be deprived of? And Mr. Albert Ho, well, he had been absent for all day long, and then he just strolled in, and then he sat down, and then he said things like litigation might result in the future. Well, of course, he is busy doing litigation. Well, I think he also remembers that the judge has said that the council itself should be responsible for matters relating to the legislature.
And then slow beat. Also, let you fast beat or slow beat. You talked about waging a war. I think this is going over the top. And Ms. Claudia Mo wasn't here all afternoon. She walked in and she hasn't warmed up her seat and started shouting at people. And she spoke in English. And Dr. Kenneth Chen, he said he wasn't happy because there was no English translation. And the Secretariat can provide all this. Now, let me say this to you. I find that the DAB members are very modest. We keep quiet about it. What have they done wrong? If Kwok-him moves this amendment, in fact, he is doing in accordance with the rules of procedure. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? You're laughing so loud. I think we have to look at this. Mr. Tam Yu-jung said that a lot of the members of the public don't really want to see filibustering going on here in this council, and that's why we move this motion. We don't really want to be sitting here for the filibustering, as simple as that. Mrs. Regina Ip once said that other than the President, we have 69 members, and they can move a motion, and you can speak a lot of things to these motions, and we have 69 members, and we can take an awful long time. I mean, it may take days for us to finish one business. And you seem to be suffering from all this anguish, and you said that you're on the verge of tears, and you said that some are giving well-meaning advice and so on. But this is my time. The floor is mine. You've been speaking so much. I hope that members will make their speeches, but I don't think you should be so negative about the pro-establishment members. Right, your time is up. Although you've spoke for the first time, we have quite a lot of members who would like to take the floor to speak, other than Mr. Chen Kam Lam for the first time. Chen Kam Lam, 2 minutes, and the rest of them 1 minute. I think I have to draw a line. We have to. Mr. Lee Chek Yan said that I'm rushing off. I don't really want members to be sitting here for so long. 2 minutes, Chen Kam Lam, and 1 minute for the rest. Chairman, a moment ago, Mr. Raymond Chan and Mr. James To said, or let it be known, that going forward, they are going to move 200 million amendments, and they play games for the whole duration of 4 years at the Finance Committee, and they're making all these threatening remarks. There's all the more reason why I feel that it will be out of control if we do not make the amendments, even if we are talking about 1,000 amendments. With a motion like this, it would take at least a couple of minutes to deal with one issue. I think we have to. We don't really want to prolong the agony. We have, in the interest of the orderly proceedings of the Finance Committee, we should do something about it, because otherwise the consequences will be hard to contemplate. If people are witnessing these kind of remarks, then it will be very difficult for them. The council has degenerated into chaos, and they really want to have the order restored. I think we ought to be pragmatic. There are 4 members. Draw a line there: Leung Kwok-him, Ronnie Tong, Ken Tian Flong, and Kwok Ka-ki. Well, Mr. Tam Yu-chung said that he would listen to public opinions. If everyone comes in here through direct election, would you raise this? I mean, in terms of mandate, there was a shortfall of 14%. Now, if but for the 40% who came in through small circle election, would you be there to bring this up? And you're talking about public mandate. Aren't you ashamed, Ma Fong Kwok? You can produce some movies, and you talk about public opinions. Do you have any council where you have 40% of the members coming in through small circle election? Why don't we rid the council of the 40%? Mr. Leung, your time is up. Mr. Ronnie Tong, Chairman, I go along with Mr. James To. A couple of days ago, I asked our party head, Alan Leung, to talk with Mr. IP Kwok-him about this move. People power has done so many things. I'm not 100% agree with them. Like Voltaire said, I may not agree with you, but I would defend your right to speak till the bitter end. Now these members, they ran on the platform of filibustering, and they secured more votes. I'm against filibustering, but I won less votes than they did, and long hair has got a point. You have 30 FC members, but for these members, would you be bold enough to move this motion? If you look at elsewhere in the world with direct election, they have to have the due process. Time's up, Mr. Leung. Mr. Tong. Mr. Leung, Chairman. Now, when we talk about the procedures, I'm wondering whether the Secretariat or the legal advisor can do us a favor, present us with a paper in Chinese and English, in no uncertain terms, as to how many ways we can amend the FCP, the Finance Committee Procedure. And there should be a clear indication if the procedures are not sufficiently clear. I hope that there would be a formal paper presented to us as to how the number of ways we can amend the FCP. Last speaker, Dr. Kwok. Well, I am not qualified to talk about basic law with Dr. Chung, 73.3, 75, and you may wish to have a look at it yourself. I think the most efficient council is not here. One-party rule is the most efficient. NPC doesn't have any election. You can do whatever you like. You don't have to waste your time here. You have everybody there. Who were considered to be there. I think one-party rule, communist rule, would be the best. You can get away with anything you like, but this is not the case here. You have to realize that we get elected here by the people. We do have the duty to do our job. We have one country, two systems, and LegCo has the rights which are different from those of the NPC. My time is up, Dr. Kwok. All right. 2nd of November, we don't have any meeting scheduled. I'm going to schedule November the 2nd to discuss this subject again and vote. If members would like to move any amendments, you have until Friday, next Friday, to move the amendments. Plenty of time for you to move the amendments. We're going to put it to the vote on the 2nd of November. This is my proposal. After the voting, Mr. IP Kwok-him's proposal will be presented again. Mr. Chen, when will the versions be available? Monday. In Chinese and English, so you have until Friday to do something about it. Meeting adjourned. Thank you all very much for coming.